Hi, Roger Peterson here. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about real estate in Costa Rica. And more specifically, what does it take to buy real estate in Costa Rica and do it the right way? In other words, how do you stay out of trouble when you're considering your real estate purchase? Now, the reason we're talking about this now is because we're seeing an uptick in foreign buyers coming into Costa Rica and purchasing real estate. And this has really picked up in the last couple of months. Okay, so where is everybody that's coming into Costa Rica? Where are they heading to? What are the favorite places for them to seek out and live? Now, Costa Rica has a variety of climates, variety of diversity of ecosystems. So here on the map, you can see where the most popular areas that expats are purchasing right now, and that is in northern Guanacaste. Then they head over to the Nicoya Peninsula. We have the Central Pacific, where the main town there is the beach town of Jaco. Then we go to the Southern Pacific, and that goes from the town of Dominical, Uvita, Ojochal, for example. And then when we switch over to the Southern Caribbean, the most popular towns there are Puerto Viejo and Cahuita. And then in the Central Valley, ample choices for expats with big diversity of climates to live in the Central Valley. Towns like Atenas, San Ramon, Grecia are becoming very popular. And also the northern area of Arenal. I am noticing a big preference from buyers to be on the beach, that whole notion of finding paradise at the beach. So the most popular beaches that we're seeing, there's a lot of movement recently, is Tamarindo Beach, Playas del Coco, Playa Hermosa, all these in Guanacaste, as well as Flamingo. Then the Nosara Beach area, Samana, Santa Teresa, then Jaco, Dominical, Uvita, Manuel Antonio, and Puerto Viejo. I mean, there's other beaches as well, but these are the ones that we're seeing the vast majority of movement at the time. Now, for those of you that do not like to live at the beach because it may be too hot, too humid, we do have the Central Valley of Costa Rica, and this is where actually the vast majority of the population lives. You got 70% of the population lives in the Central Valley, and that is in the province of San Jose, Alajuela, Heredia, and Cartago. And here you have many options of where to live as well. Now, in the Central Valley, some of the favorite places for expats to live, I'm listing them here: Atenas, Ciudad Colón, Escazú, Grecia, Heredia, San Ramon, Santana, Naranjo, Orosi, and Poriscal. Now, of course, there are many other places, so if you have any preferences of your own, let us know. Also, if you lived at the beach, do you like living at the beach? Yes or no? Do you prefer the Central Valley? What area of the country do you like? Let us know in the comments. Okay, let's switch gears and talk about real estate and how to buy it. So the first rule of real estate in Costa Rica is that there are no rules. And you're going, wait a minute, Roger, what are you talking about? I thought Costa Rica was a really civilized country where everything functioned, and it does. However, in the real estate sector, there is no licensing of real estate agents. There is no multiple listing system. And there's also very little oversight over real estate developments. And if you do get in trouble, the judicial process is extremely slow. In Costa Rica, we also operate under a different legal system that you may be accustomed to if you're coming from North America. You operate under the common law system in Costa Rica, as well as all Latin America. We operate under the civil law system, where you see all the blue countries on this world map. What this means is that there are certain nuances to the law that you may not be accustomed to. In other words, the way you do things back home are not necessarily the acceptable and legal ways to do them in Costa Rica. So there are differences, and it's important for you to understand those differences when you're going to engage in property purchase in Costa Rica. So now we're going to turn to the next step and get into the nuts and bolts of how to do it. That is why your first step is to do your due diligence. This is key, to hire somebody that's looking at 100% for your interest. That is why the most important document that we start with when we're looking at purchasing a property is the purchase agreement. This is the crucial document. We like to be as detailed as possible in everything that's contained in the purchase agreement. We don't like leaving anything up for interpretation, so we like to cover it all in here. We like to put a comfortable due diligence clause in there that allows you ample time to be able to truly investigate everything related to the property that you want to purchase, to make sure that the property is going to meet your expectations and that you're not going to be disappointed when you run into problems because you did not adequately do your due diligence. Okay, so once you've found that property that you want to buy, you decide, yep, this is the one, I need to purchase this property. How do I do it? How do I get started? Whether you're working with a real estate agent or you're working directly with the owner because you found the property on your own, in order to proceed to the next step, which is to draft a purchase agreement and then take that property towards closing, you're going to need to engage the services of a real estate closing attorney. I realize that may be different from what you're accustomed to in your home country, where you generally have a title company or the real estate agent do the agreements. But in Costa Rica, the only authorized individual that acts as the title company to transfer title from buyers to seller and record them in the recording office is the notary public. And in Costa Rica, to be a notary public, you must be an attorney. So the notary public, as I mentioned before, acts as the title company and is in charge of doing all the title work to ensure that you're getting proper title recorded in the recording office. So in order to start the title review process and be able to write that purchase agreement, the seller needs to provide the buyer with the title number to the property called folio real, and also with a copy of the survey map to the property. This is what the survey map looks like, and it's going to contain all the information about the property, and every property must have a survey tied to its title. Here's what the title report in Costa Rica looks like. So it's going to indicate the folio real, the title number on the top. It's going to give you the legal description, boundaries, the size. It's going to indicate what the fiscal tax valuation is for that property. It's going to give us all the information about the property owner. It's going to tell us, very importantly here, are there any liens or annotations on title that could affect the marketability of this title. Now, all this title information is available for you in one centralized registry called the National Registry of Costa Rica. And most of it is available for free. You can pay for certain certifications, but here's the website. It's rnpdigital.com, and there you can search Costa Rican property records. Costa Rica, everything is centralized, as I mentioned, in one registry. So it doesn't matter if the deed happened in one of the outlying provinces, they're all going to end up in this centralized single recording office. Okay, so let's start pulling it all together. As we mentioned at the beginning, you're going to find that property, you're going to get that title report and the survey map from the seller, and then that's going to guide you to get all the information you need to prepare that purchase agreement. Then you're going to retain the closing attorney who's going to draft the purchase agreement for you. Then at that point, the next step is to get into the due diligence phase of your purchase. Now, the amount of due diligence that you're going to need is going to vary depending on the type of property that you are purchasing. If it's a condominium in a straightforward condominium development property, it may be a lot easier than if you're buying a piece of raw land that you intend to build some bungalows, and it can be a little bit more complicated. So again, depending on what you're doing. Now, the last step in this process is the final closing. So once you've passed due diligence, you said, yep, everything looks good, let's go to closing. Then a closing date is set, and the closing attorney, who's acting as the notary public that drafts the deed and will record it, sets the closing date, and all the parties must meet in person. Unless you're represented with a power of attorney, it has to be in person in the presence of that notary public. Okay, so what is all this going to cost you? Now, all the real estate closing costs are set by law. So let's break these down for you so you can get an idea of what it's going to cost. Rough estimate is around 3.5%, and it's broken down in the following way. You're going to pay a government transfer tax of 1.5%. You're going to pay the National Recording Office a 0.5%. You're going to pay some stamp duties, and then the notary public that is handling that transaction, the one that's acting as the title company, is entitled to a fee of around 1.2%. Now, the recommended practice is to have an escrow company act as the agent that's collecting all the fees, and then at closing, it's the escrow company that's going to make all the disbursement to all the parties. Now, keep in mind that in Costa Rica, as a foreigner, you can own property without having to have local partners. There's no residency required. You can purchase a property literally with your passport. The only limitation is certain beachfront property that is owned by the Costa Rican government where foreign ownership is limited and restricted. I'll put a link in the description to articles I've written about owning property in the maritime zone of Costa Rica. Now, you can either own the property in your personal name, jointly with your spouse, or you can buy it in the name of a Costa Rican company or a foreign company. Those decisions you need to analyze and review them with the closing attorney to find out what type of ownership and structure best suits your personal needs. Now, once your deed is recorded, it will be microfilmed by the National Registry, just as you're seeing on the screen here. So that document is always going to be available for you. You can purchase it through rnpdigital.com, and that will conclude the registration process. You can check your title by going here to rnpdigital.com, clicking here on Consulta Finca. There you go. You put your title number, you click search, and that will give you the title report for the property that you just purchased. Now, there's one final step that involves property taxes with the local government. The National Registry, where we recorded the title, they do not relay information to the local government. As such, it is required that you submit a copy of your sales document to your local government so that they know to change the name of the taxpayer. The procedure tends to vary between municipality and municipality, so check with your particular one where you purchase the property. But generally, it's as simple as filling out a property declaration form, such as the one right here. You download it, there it is. You fill that out, then you submit it, and that's what it'll take. So, with the property deed properly recorded in the National Registry and your local municipal government with knowledge of the property transfer so you can pay the property taxes, that completes the real estate purchase. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments, suggestions, please let me know. And once again, thank you for watching the video.